US President Joe Biden has announced an executive order that will continue to allow thousands of people into the US every day. The president announced the crackdown on the US-Mexico border on Tuesday, which will see officials shut down the border if illegal crossings pass more than 2,500 people per day for 7 consecutive days. What? Only then, when officials deem that the border is completely overwhelmed, will the border be shut down. So this crackdown will still allow almost 1 million asylum seekers into America each year, which is hard to fathom, especially being here in Australia. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of people that are entering the US through the CBP One app and the 300,000 migrants flying in each year from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua and Venezuela. Now, in January this year, Joe Biden claimed that he's done all he can do when it comes to the border crisis. But now Joe Biden is doing something. And would you look at that, just 5 months out from the election? Republican lawmakers are slamming the move as too little too late. And the Biden administration is really under pressure right now to explain why there are so many exemptions under this border crackdown, which include unaccompanied children.
Well, who's going to watch those unaccompanied children? If they are allowed and you don't ship them back, you don't do anything like that. So where do they go?
Neil, we deal with unaccompanied children in a humanitarian way, adhering to our values. We deter irregular migration. We build lawful pathways.
But this encourages
we have
drug
programs
cartels
for
to
minors.
take advantage of those kids, does it not, sir?
Reporters on the ground at the US-Mexico border are already expressing their doubts that this executive order is going to make a difference.
Based on the details of this executive order and how it actually functions that we've learned so far today, I actually have to say I'm quite skeptical that this is going to have any kind of immediate, widespread, dramatic impact on the border, on the number of migrants who are crossing the border, and on the number of migrants who manage to stay in the United States as a result.
Immigration is expected to be a key issue that Donald Trump and Joe Biden will be debating later this month. Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer told Sky News that Donald Trump is guaranteed to be re-elected if he's put behind bars for falsifying business records.
Talk to me about the fallout from Trump's criminal conviction. I've got a couple of rapid-fire questions for you on this. Firstly, how's it affecting his campaign?
Well, look, he's raised over $70 million in the last, 72 hours, 96 hours. That's an unheard of, unprecedented number in politics. He raised over $140 million in the month of May. Any question about his ability to compete? But the big thing isn't just the dollars he raised, it's who's giving it. A lot of these people, a third of them, have never contributed before. So this is new people getting fired up and involved in this. I think the Democrats went way too far. And one thing that you've got to keep in mind when looking at this race is we're talking about a handful of states, but even more so, it's a very, very minute number of people who are, quote, undecided in any of those states. What this has done more than anything else, James, is harden the support among Trump's base. These people might have been supporting him in the past. Now they want a yard sign. They want to knock on doors. They want to make phone calls. They want to make another contribution. This has strengthened the resolve of so many of Trump's supporters, and frankly, a lot of people who might not have been with him, but see the weaponization and the lawfare that's been used against him.
Sean, one more question before we finish. Sentencing is set to happen, I think, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. And I'm thinking, surely they wouldn't put Trump in jail. I mean, they wouldn't possibly do that, but there's an appetite for it. Have a listen to former FBI Director James Comey.
They would just put him in a double wide somewhere out near the fence, out in the grass. And he would eat there, he'd shower there, he'd exercise there, he'd be away, as Danya Perry said, from general population. But it's obviously doable.
Sean, they wouldn't put him in jail, would they?
You know what, James? I didn't think that they would convict him. So I'm not holding my breath on anything anymore. I think Judge Marchand wants to be a hero. He obviously, through his contributions and through his daughter's activities, have made it very clear whose side he's on. In some ways, this is their opportunity to go down in history as someone who not only convicted, but then jailed the former president who the left hates. I would have answered this question, no way, absolutely no way, a few weeks ago. And then as I've seen how this trial has progressed, and the verdict that ultimately was reached, I don't put anything past the left right now. But I'll tell you this, you're absolutely right. The sentencing is scheduled for July 11th. The convention kicks off on the 15th. If they do this, they will unequivocally guarantee the reelection of Donald Trump on November 5th of this year. So in some ways, I think, the people are almost itching for it. I would hate to see President Trump actually have to go to jail, but in a weird way, it would almost certainly guarantee his return to the White House.